January 18th, 2020. From San Diego, California, this is episode 199 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
How you doing, Mike?
Hanging in there.
Good.
Having bad back issues.
Yeah.
So I missed a whole week of work.
I know, and that's why we're releasing this episode a little late, too.
Yeah,
you just weren't able to do it the other night, right?
Hard to set up the other day.
Yeah. And we're recording from your house. That's why it said San Diego in the intro there.
Yep.
So like the mobile studio.
You couldn't just say El Cajon.
No, because we're not in El Cajon right now.
Mark,
we're in San Diego.
You are precise.
Exactly. I want to get things right. Well, on our last episode, our good buddy Marty called in to let us know that when he was making bets on the Caesars sports betting app from his home in Reno, it was counting as a casino visit, and as a result was hurting his ADT.
Right.
And we were appalled. It's like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Because he was making like $20 bets, which maybe would count as like $1 on his ADT, right? Something like that. His ADT as a result went down by around 95%. It was that bad.
Which affects all of his offers and free play
exactly.
And a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Eric Rosenthal heard the episode, heard Marty's call, and was questioning this because he didn't see his sports betting affecting his ADT at all. He was using the Caesars app in New Jersey.
Right.
And again, while Marty lives in Nevada. Well, Eric got in touch with one of his contacts at Caesars, a person fairly high up in the organization, who said, absolutely not true. Casino and sportsbook are rated completely separately. So I contacted the host that Marty had talked to and asked him if he could investigate the issue a little further. And he agreed, which was nice. And he gave me a call a few days later to follow up on it. And he said, yes, betting on the sports app, at least in Nevada, does affect a player's ADT. He wasn't sure about other parts of the country, but he was able to verify it. And if you recall, when Marty would make a bet on his app, it would show up on his account as a trip to the Cromwell, which made it,
for some reason.
Yeah, that made it kind of sound a little suspicious. But the host said that that was because either Marty set up his sportsbook account at the Cromwell, or because the Cromwell is his dominant property, what they call dominant property. In other words, the Caesars property where Marty gives the most action.
Yeah.
So that's where we're showing. And Marty said that since he stopped using the app, his phantom trips to the Cromwell have stopped. So, we can't say why it's happening in Nevada and not New Jersey, or why Marty and Eric are experiencing different things. But we were able to verify, at least in Nevada, sure enough, unbelievably, betting on the Caesars Sports app affects your ADT, counts as a casino visit, which is just ridiculous.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that it's different in different states, because Caesars properties, even in Las Vegas, you can walk from, Caesars to Harrah's right across the street, and you have different rules on the games.
Yeah, left-hand, right-hand kind of thing, where, they're just not in sync.
They're run differently. They're run independently.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that, maybe in Vegas they handle ADT differently than they do, in New Jersey. Yeah. Just like the great gift wrap-up thing, right?
Right. It's
a Vegas thing.
It's really a Vegas thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't have it now. They don't. They used to have something similar in New Jersey.
I think they may still, but it's not nearly as big as
right. It's not. It's not set up the same way.
Right.
In other words, and we see that here at Harrah's Rincon. They used to have their own gift wrap-up.
Yes,
Vegas, and they stopped that. And their rules are different and things are run differently.
Anyway, when Eric contacted me, I'm thinking, this can't be right.
Right.
The app can't be affecting your ADT, right? And so I was all prepared on this episode to say, thankfully Marty was wrong. What he was told was wrong. But no.
That's right.
And hopefully, again, as the year goes on and maybe more and more people complain, they'll change a ridiculous policy. And then, the host, he didn't like it.
No.
Right? Because that affects his players.
Right.
So.
And I'm sure they get compensated on some
Maybe. I don't know if it's an in-house host, maybe not. But he certainly wants to keep his players happy. Right. He wants to get them to the property.
He wants them to come because if he loses players, it reflects poorly on him, right?
Yeah.
So...
All right. Well, we wanted to talk about something here. Well, it was kind of related to what happened to us at Harrah's, Southern California, a couple weeks ago. We were at a table, $25 table, not too many players there. But at one point, a woman came up to the table and wanted to know how to play, had never played craps before. And she asked the dealer how to play. And you and I were sort of appalled at how poorly the dealer explained the game.
Terrible. It was absolutely ridiculous. It made no sense, number one.
Yeah, if you had never seen the game before, you would he's talking about seasonese and
and wait till we do this and just give me some money and I'll make some bets and win you some money. I mean, that's not teaching the game.
But we do see that a lot, don't we? Especially at craps, where a dealer explaining is doing a terrible job of explaining it.
Yeah, no offense to all of our dealer friends.
Yeah.
But some of the dealers don't know the game.
They don't know how to explain the game. They're so deep into the game that they make assumptions about what the player may already know.
Right. They don't know how to explain to somebody who doesn't know how to gamble, who's never gambled before.
It's funny because you nudged me. The woman was right next to me. You nudged me and said, explain the game to her. Right. And I said, no, I will not, because she was a little tipsy.
Right.
Well, maybe more than a little tipsy. And you could tell that she didn't really want to learn the game. She kind of came up the table and
she wanted to make
a bet.
Right.
Tell me where to bet and what that'll mean. And really, to explain craps, you've got to start from the beginning.
Right.
So I refused. Right. And you actually tried to teach her a little bit. And sure enough, eventually she just kind of walked away after she lost her money.
She paid attention for a little while. And to make things harder, it is a little harder to explain at Harrah's Rincon because the cards.
Because of the cards.
Because they just look at there's a 9. And, well, how come that, and you have to explain about the whole card thing. And that takes a little bit.
I know, it's true. If I really was going to explain how to play the game at Harrah's, I would start by saying, all right, here's what the dice and the cards mean.
Right.
And not even explain the game at all. It's like, okay, do you have this down? It's like rolling dice while playing Monopoly.
Right.
Except you've got to go to cards too. Yeah. Well, some other things happened at that table that you wanted to talk about.
First off, just go back to the beginning. We got there and we were at a table that was a $15 table, and it was pretty empty. Mm-hmm. And we were on one side, and we said, make this 25.
Well, we didn't say that. You said that. I just want to make it clear. Mike likes playing at $25 tables.
And here's why. Here's why. And not to keep people away so much, but it is nicer when it's not as crowded.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, and this is probably most importantly, out at Harrah's Rincon, they track the rolls, how many rolls there are. So when we're on a table that's 25 and there's fewer people, we get more rolls per minute and consequently more points. And with the amount of money we're betting, it's to our advantage to have a fast game. And we like a fast game.
Yeah, we do.
It's enjoyable for us. Slow games
We're also going to
crazy.
lose money faster, but I'm on the same page as you are.
Yeah. So anyway, they split the table and they made our half 25 and the other half 15, which was good. Now, later in the evening, a couple hours later, they opened up another table and they asked, do you want that 25? Okay, yeah, that'd be great. So they made it 25.
The whole table.
The whole table. Moved ours back to 15, the whole table.
That we left, the table we left.
We went over to the $25 table. And from, to our thinking, it's going to be, okay, it's going to be less crowded. It's going to go faster. It's going to be all the knowledgeable players. It's going to be people who know what they're doing and things are going to go well. And that was not the case at all. It was a night of craziness.
Yeah.
It drove me absolutely insane. I mean, we had so many people come up who obviously didn't know the game.
Oh, yeah. A lot.
A lot. I mean,
see, that's one thing.
Almost everybody but us.
I mean, that is the thing. If somebody wants to learn the game, they're not going to go up to a crowded table. They're going to go up to a table with a lot of people on it.
And it's so amazing how many people go up to a table that, is not crowded, but they don't look and they buy in, So how many times did people
there was a lot of
buy
that
in
thing.
with $100 and they get 4 green chips and they're looking at the guy like, well, no. And, well, it's a $25 table. Some of them left. Some of them, okay, I'll stay. One guy making field bets, and he had the worst luck.
Yeah,
Every time he made a field bet, it'd be a 6, 8, or a 5. And then when he'd lose 2 in a row, and he wouldn't make a field bet, and then it'd be 3 or 2, or it was just ridiculous how bad his luck was. He got wiped out so fast.
Yeah.
Another guy came to the table, same thing. Obviously, was not that familiar with craps to begin with.
Right.
Bought in for like $100 and went through about 4 or 5 shooters. Not rolls, shooters. People rolling the dice, making numbers. And he was actually doing pretty good because he would just make a pass line bet and people were making like 1 or 2 passes, right? He was making some money. And then on like the 5th shooter, he says, now wait a minute, the dice, that was just a 9. How come it didn't win? It took him 5 shooters to realize the dice didn't match up to what was being called. Oh my God. I turned to Mark and I said, how can you go that long? How can it go that long? I mean, obviously he wasn't paying attention. He was just like,
probably because he was winning, right? He didn't question it when they were just pushing him chips.
It must have been like a point of 9 and he saw 9 on the dice and expected to win. Oh God, it was just.
So it drove you crazy. Would you say that you're kind of stuck up when it comes to craps? You a little stuck up?
I guess so.
Okay.
But it drove me crazy. Then there was the woman that you talked about. There were so many things. It was so unbelievably ridiculous.
And we were losing. So that makes it worse when we're losing.
We went over there and the table we left was so-so and we went over and it got a little colder there.
Yeah.
So that was getting on my nerves. But it was just terrible. So the final straw, the straw that broke my back and put me out of work for a week and a half.
And delayed the show.
Yeah, and delayed the show was this guy walks up who obviously knew craps.
Yeah.
Bought in for $500 in the middle of the roll and then announced they were waiting for him to make bets and he announced, no, I won't be making any bets.
Yeah, he bought in and they said, any action? No,
I'll wait for the come out. Then why did you buy in? Why did you stop the, game? And of course, anything can happen, but sure enough, it's 7 out.
Yep.
And that I just turned to Mark, I'm done. I'm going.
That's when we went home.
That's when we went home. That was the last roll we saw. Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, he actually announced, didn't say, oh yeah, give me a 4 or, or something, or I'll have a come bet or no. So his intention was to buy in the middle of the roll.
Just get chips.
So he could be ready for the come out. Like there's not enough time to buy in at the end of that roll. Oh my God.
All right. Well, maybe it was because it was kind of over the holidays and there was some convention or something going on too. A lot of people didn't know what to. Yeah. So maybe next time we go, it'll be better for you, Dr. Mike.
Oh my God.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. We've actually got a lot of calls. Maybe after the holidays, everybody, they kind of took a break. We didn't get many calls, and then a bunch came in at once. We're not going to play all of them. In some cases, the information in the call is something we've covered before, or it only tangentially has to do with gambling. So if you don't hear your call, please don't think we ignored you because we listen to all the calls we get. But again, for various reasons, sometimes just time constraints, we're not going to play all the calls that we've gotten. But we are going to play a call from Grant, so let's get going.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. Wanted to give you a super quick trip report. So I took my dad to Vegas for his 67th birthday last week. It was for both of our first times, and we had 5 nights stay at Caesars. We both absolutely love Vegas, and we're from Pennsylvania, so we've only really been to Atlantic City and the casinos around here. And we thought Atlantic City was cool, but it's a total joke compared to Vegas. Anyway, I ended up making it to over 30 casinos as I collected dollar chips from everywhere I played blackjack or craps at. And the highlight of the trip was I was playing at the Cromwell, and I was playing free bet blackjack, and I got 5 tokens, and it paid 100 to 1 at the Cromwell. I had $5 on, so it was pretty exciting in my first purple chip. So we left up with some extra money in our pockets. We had a blast. I was thinking the whole time it was only because I gave you guys a karma donation on PayPal before the trip. I had one question for you guys, make it quick. Have you ever ridden the rides on top of the Stratosphere in Vegas? We did, and we thought it was pretty crazy and thought it was a pretty cool view from up there. Anyway, thanks for the entertainment, guys. Happy holidays.
We've been to the top of the Strat.
Yes.
And I don't think we went on any rides when I'm trying to remember because it was quite a while ago. And if they had rides, they might have been different from what they have now.
And I think those were the initial rides that were built under the Bob Stupak era.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no way I was going to ride on a roller coaster that actually extends out past the confines of the building that Bob Stupak had built.
Was he in charge of? That's true. I kind of felt the same way.
There's just absolutely no way I was I'm not that big a thrill seeker.
Well, and you probably wouldn't go on now because you're back, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're
no,
definitely not going anymore.
No.
I don't know. I could see myself going, again, maybe on a family trip. Certainly you and I are not going to take time out to go on some ride in Las Vegas when all the tables are calling. Well, congratulations, Grant, on that free bet blackjack side bet. Let's talk about that just briefly. So free bet blackjack is a game where the casino pays for you to double down or to split. You don't have to put out any additional money. They basically make the bet for you. And the catch is if the dealer draws to 22, then everybody pushes, everybody's hand pushes, right? So when you want to double down or split, the dealer places a token on your cards to kind of indicate that that's what's happening. And there is a side bet that you can make that will pay based on the number of tokens you receive on a hand. And Grant got 5 tokens, so he got paid 100 to 1. So that was the way that worked. So that's nice. Yeah, you put $5 out there, $500. Plus, you're getting all these extra hands that, you could potentially get paid out. So, all right, next call.
Hey guys, it's Jeff from Los Angeles. I recently took a trip to Vegas. It was supposed to be Thursday, the day after Christmas. As you know, it was probably a rainy day even down in San Diego, but I was going there, ways that I could get there in the usual time. Waze is a horrible app. Don't ever use it. The Cajon Pass was closed, so I hung out there for an hour or two, and then on my way back, I heard it was open, so I turned around and went through it. Long story short is that it was 17 hours to get in. And then once I got into the Cajon Pass, it was just snowy and just a nightmare. People were getting out of their cars to make snowmen and play snowball fights or whatever. And then when I got to Baker, the 15 was closed. And then Waze sent me off into the desert about 30 miles where I was stuck in a line and couldn't take that after a couple hours. Turned around and got back into Baker and took something called Death Valley Road, which just sent me out into the desert about 40 miles and somehow got me up to the 160, and I sort of backdoored my way into Vegas, and that was great. I wish I could see more. It was dark the whole time. I'm sure it was scenic views. But stayed at the Golden Nugget, played 2 poker tournaments, won the first one, bubbled the second. Went to a Knights game. That was great. I had the highest seat you could possibly get, and it was fantastic. I could see everything. Hockey is real in Vegas. It was a good time. People loved it there. On the way back, around Gene, once again, Waze sent me into the desert for some reason, and I found a saloon there called the Pioneer Saloon. It was incredibly cool. Over 100 years old, bullet holes on the walls from card games that went bad way back in the day, and apparently Clark Gable's wife was in a plane crash in the mountains back there, and a claim to fame for them is that he was in that bar for 3 days waiting for word on what happened. But, I suggest try the burger if you go there. One last thing, at the D I was playing craps. It was great, but it was a $5 table that they jumped up to 10, and I said, we'll get grandfathered in. The pitman said, nope, you're playing 10, and everyone got up and left. What makes you get grandfathered in or not? Is that just a policy? And what makes the tables go up and down from 5 to 10 or 10 to 5? Anyway, 17 hours it took me. Take care, guys.
Yeah, there were a lot of reports here from people not just going to Vegas, but using 15 to go to Utah and stuff who got stuck and had horrific drives.
Yeah, that happened to us once. Well, actually, you weren't with us. It was a couple other people, but we got stuck on the Cajon Pass, had to actually pull off and wait for them to kind of plow through. We weren't there that long, but we did have to sit in the car for a while. It was cold. We had to turn the engine off.
Nothing more miserable.
Yeah. As far as the grandfathering in goes, it used to be pretty consistent that you'd get grandfathered in. If they raise the limit, as long as you're here, you can keep that low limit. But you don't see it as much anymore. A lot of times they say, no, we can't. Or
I understand the casino not doing that.
I understand it too.
It creates a lot of problems.
You've got to keep track of who is grandfathered in, tell the dealers, coming in, this guy's grandfathered in.
And inevitably somebody walks up and complains, well, they're playing 5. How come I can't play? Yeah. Well, they were grandfathered. Well, what is that? And it's just easier. Just say, no, it's $10 now.
Yeah. So it will depend on the casino, of course. And there are sometimes where or maybe they'll grandfather you in for an hour.
Right.
And then they'll say, okay, now, you've
right.
got to come up to them. So
a lot of times what I think the best policy is when a casino announces, say it's 5:30, and they say, okay, at 6 o'clock, this is going to be a $10 game.
yeah, that's good.
And then everyone has a half hour to decide, are they going to stay or are they going to go or whatever. It's not just like, next roll,
Yeah.
You got a half hour and you can make your plans accordingly.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I think
that
that's
is
the fairest,
a better way to
best
go for sure. Yeah.
And the reason they change them is based on supply and demand, I think. When there's more people and it looks like the tables are filling up, they up the limits.
Yeah. Now, in this case with Jeff, where they upped it and everybody left, well, that's probably not what they intended. But who knows? Just because everybody left doesn't mean that 5 minutes later, it's going to fill up again.
See, you always see people leave. And then how many times do we see an empty table? And we love empty tables. We go up to the empty table thinking, oh, great, it'll be empty for a while. No, 2 minutes later, it's full, completely full. It doesn't take very long.
No, it doesn't. No. Jeff actually called back a couple more times. He had some questions about this whole Mattress Mac thing. The guy who was hedging his bet against the Houston Astros winning the World Series. And Jeff, we can't really answer a lot of these questions. I think really he needs to contact Anthony Curtis directly at the Las Vegas Advisor. Anthony's very nice. We met him at the Zorkfest a couple of years ago. Very approachable. Now, he did say that he is quite busy right now because he was finishing up with all that Mattress Mac stuff and then the beginning of the year and getting the Las Vegas Advisor out. So I don't know, Jeff, try contacting him, and no guarantees, but maybe he can answer some of the questions. He had questions about big sums of money and how moving it around. And Anthony did talk about it a lot on a couple episodes of Gambling with an Edge, but again, if you have more questions, try to contact him directly.
Now the whole thing may be moot anyway.
Oh my gosh. How do you think Mattress Mac feels now?
Yeah, knowing that they cheated.
Jeez.
And all the stuff. I've heard there's 4 or 5 lawsuits going on, people who are suing, who claim to have made bets or this or that, or, all kinds of stuff.
It is just bad news. And you roll your eyes thinking, why would you even try this?
Right.
Electronics under shirts and my gosh, why would you even try it? I have an answer for you.
Yeah.
That, again, if anybody wants to pull me aside when they meet me, I've got predictions about this.
You know what cracks me up the most? Altuve said that point blank asked right afterwards why he didn't take his shirt off. And he motioned to his teammates not to, mess with his shirt.
Right.
He said, because, my wife got mad that one time. And then somebody went through, there's like hundreds of times where he's got his shirt off, even him tweeting and putting stuff out without his shirt off, like constantly showing him his body without his shirt on.
Yeah.
But just that one time, his wife was going to be mad.
Yeah.
I love that. It's so...
Well, what's he going to do? Tell the truth?
Yeah. It's so stupid when somebody makes a lie that's so obviously a lie. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going to happen with all that. I've heard stuff. There's some guy in L.A. suing that thinks the Dodgers should get the champion.
You don't know, right?
Yeah.
It certainly helped them, but how much?
How much? Or if it helped them. It might have been more...
Well, I saw some figures that showed like some home averages versus away averages, and it was pretty significant.
It was a significant difference.
Yeah, so it's pretty bad.
I think MLB handled it pretty well, considering what they could do after the fact, versus the NFL, which handled the Raider or the Inflategate and all that. The other time with the Patriots, where they just basically gave them slaps on the wrist.
Yeah. All right, next up is Cody. The audio is a little hard to make out, but I think you'll be able to get the gist.
Hey guys, it's Cody from Alabama, calling with a trip report. This past weekend, my wife and I were traveling to Starkville, Mississippi for a college basketball game between Auburn and Mississippi State, so we decided to leave the day before. This is kind of the last getaway before we go back to work after the holidays, and we decided to stay at Pearl River Resort in Choctaw, Mississippi. The facility has 2 casinos on the property, the Silver Star and the Golden Moon. Both properties have combined around 180 table games and around 2,500 slots. It's a pretty big facility, and they're connected by a walkway that's enclosed, like a skywalk. So you actually don't have to go outside to travel between the 2 casinos. So we decided to play craps at the Silver Star. Could not be more high on the crew and everybody there. The game was fun. The dealers were awesome. $10 craps on, I think, 3 or 4 tables that were open on Friday night. One table had the all-tall small, the others didn't have any of the bonus beds like that. Anyway, had a really good experience there. So the next morning is where I have a question for you guys that absolutely does not make sense. So we wake up the next morning, and I told my wife I was going to go down to the front and see if I could get some breakfast on our player's card from our points that we had accumulated the night before. We played probably 3.5 to 4 hours the night before, and bet several $100s on the table. And so I go to the front desk, and the lady swaps my card and tells me that she could only give me $6 because the computer program showed that I was in the positive. And I said, what difference does that make when I'm in the positive? I said, should I not be rated based on my rate of play? If I'm betting $50 every roll, should that not account for, pretty good rate of play enough to at least get breakfast? And she tells me that their system shows that, I was in the positive and she could only give me $6. And I just wonder, guys, have you ever heard of that? It just absolutely made no sense whatsoever that a comp system we based off of the fact that someone had actually won money versus that my rate of play should have been good enough to at least get a muffin and a Danish or something.
You got cut off there. Some casinos, they should be basing it on the games you're playing, your theoretical
right. It should be on your theoretical loss. Right. It should be based on the amount of time you played and the volume you played.
But there are some casinos who, on the flip side, if you've lost a lot, they'll say, okay, we'll give you, a little extra. And this is just the other side. And it's at the casino's discretion. Pearl River Resort is not tied to Big Caesars or MGM or anything. Right. So, they can kind of decide.
Their thing is, if you lost a lot of money, we've got to get you back by giving you free stuff. But you won, so you're going to come back anyway because you won, so we're not giving you anything.
Yeah, it really
That's what they're telling
It is
you.
a terrible policy.
Yeah.
But it's at their discretion, so.
It's ridiculous. But you also got to be wary, too, a little bit. Does the casino employee actually know what they're talking about? Because we've run into that a lot, too, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's true. That could be.
That could be something where, she just I see you won. You don't get anything.
You would think, though, that it would all be automated and she would just look at her screen and say $6 as opposed to her, having any discretion. But
I'd be pretty upset about that if I was there.
Yeah.
But what can you say, right? It's not their home casino. It's not
what do you say? Okay, we won't be coming back here, and we're going to call into our favorite podcast that has millions of listeners. It's going to affect your bottom line.
A couple of listeners, anyway.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, this is Joseph from Grand Prairie, Texas, just outside of Dallas. I'm a truck driver for UPS. I'm making my way through all the old programs right now. I got turned on to you from Color Up, and I love the podcast. It's great. I just want to say I didn't realize you revamped your show notes because of that guy that complained about the way you described your TV software at the end of your programs. I just want to say, Mark, you're way too nice, and I know this may not make it to the air because of, I'm going to say it for you, that guy can suck it. Really, that's all I have to say. Once again, great show. I look forward to hearing the rest of them. Appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you, Joseph. That's what I told Mark.
All right. So for new listeners who don't know, at the end of the show, I always say, hey, check out our TV listings. And I used to say that the listings were generated using a program I wrote myself to search through all the raw American TV data. Well, back in 2015, a listener wrote in saying, please stop mentioning that Mark programmed the app that aggregates the gambling television shows. It drives me insane that you mention this. Figuring out how to use RSS is not rocket science, and that you mention this every show just gives me douche chills. Don't know why it is a pet peeve, but it makes me want to break my phone and ends the show on a horrible note. So I took his comment to heart because it did kind of sound like I was bragging. But the point I was really trying to make was that our listings are not something that you can find anywhere else. I thought if I said, well, I wrote the script myself, that it would emphasize that these listings were unique. Not something you could easily generate by just having your DVR look for the word gambling, right? Or something like that, right? But again, I understood that it kind of sounded like I was bragging. So that's why I now say using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Anyway, thank you, Joseph, for your support.
Well, if it's worth anything, I mean, I certainly don't even know what RSS is, and I would have no way of finding that out on my own. I don't even know if Hallmark has a gambling show.
Well,
so I have to rely on that coming up on the thing to know when Hallmark's going to have one.
Well, I think I forwarded you an email we got from Kelly. She found a Lifetime movie called Going for Broke. It wasn't Christmas themed, but it was a Lifetime movie with Delta Burke from like the early 2000s, where she's got a gambling addiction. So I'll keep an eye out on that.
You know, I was reading that. You forwarded that to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't Delta Burke seem like somebody who would have?
Yeah, I think it was based on her life.
I think you're right. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just when I saw it was Delta Burke, I'm thinking, yeah, you know,
I can see that.
I can see that.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Next up is podcast superstar John B.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's John B. from Pennsylvania. Just touching base with the trip report. Went out to Vegas over Christmas break. It's the third year in a row we've made that trip. We really like it. A lot of pretty decorations in all the casinos. Things are pretty empty up until the 26th or so. And there's lower table limits and things are a lot more laid back, I guess. Stayed at Planet Hollywood, had a little bit of a hiccup the first night, had to change rooms because apparently the reservation was incorrect and had us in the wrong type of room. So got a standard resort room, which adequate room, nothing amazing, but not horrible. Was going to shoot for 7 stars and reacquiring status for this next year, and had a bad run of video poker and decided it just wasn't worth it. And we called it a day, and as Eric says, I'll be super diamond for the next year, but not going to get to go hang out with you guys in the fancy lounges anymore. So being that we had all our free time that we were going to go gambling and we didn't have to, we ended up spending some time. We got a rental car and took some time to go we went up to Sam's Town and saw the holiday decorations there and actually went bowling because they had a bowling special. And we went to the FLM Chocolates Factory and saw the lit cactuses or cacti, which is pretty cool. And actually had a fun little Vegas nerd side trip. We went over to Crown and Anchor, which is one of the local bars that has bar top video poker. And they have a special a couple of times a day. I learned about it from Anthony Curtis talking on Gambling with an Edge and some other places about the special. You know, it's positive EV. You play $200 coin in and on, I guess it's 6-5 bonus poker and they give you a $20 free play. So ends up being plus a little bit. We went over there. We're sitting there at the bar and Anthony Curtis walks in. That was pretty cool. Otherwise, it was, no big wins, no big losses. Caught a royal and then played most of that off, but that was about it. Anyway, I hope our paths cross soon. Not sure if you're making it up to the trip without a name in April, but maybe I'll see you there. Hope to see you guys soon. Thanks.
Yeah, we actually have already made hotel arrangements for the April trip. I think it's April 17th through the 19th. We're going to be staying at Harrah's Gulf Coast, of course, because we're using our Caesars 7 stars trip to do that. And I think our hosts are going to make the plane arrangements after the 31st, right? Because for the trip, they have to wait till February 1st, I think, to make arrangements.
I've already started practicing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Practicing what?
Whatever I need to do to get ready for that trip.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Rolling dice?
Just practicing.
I love how John just says, yeah, I caught a royal, played through that, but no big deal, not that big a trip. Caught a royal?
Caught a royal, I know. And he said
like
that.
rubbing it in. Yeah, hit a royal, usually happens on my trip. And,
if he'd said something like, oh, I'm super excited, I caught this royal, and it kept me going for a while, it wouldn't have sounded so bad. But no, he had to rub it in like, caught a royal. Yeah, had to play through it.
All right, hope to see you guys in April.
Everyone has caught a royal, Mark. No. I think that's the point John's trying to make.
Now, yeah, he was kind of joking about Super Diamond. Caesars has kind of changed Diamond, breaking it up into sub-tiers within Diamond. So this year, again, 15,000 tier credits to make Diamond. If you get 25,000 tier credits, that gets you into the Laurel Lounges without having to use your reward credits. That's called Diamond Plus. And then if you get 75,000 tier credits, it's Diamond Elite. I think you get like a trip out of it or some, folio money or something.
I wish when you got to 7-star level, it had more levels.
But yeah, they have are those experience points. That's how it works.
But they don't multiply quick. I got basically over twice as many points this year as last year. Mm-hmm. And I got the same amount of experience points.
Really?
Yeah. Last year, it got me 4 baseball games. Mm-hmm. I used my experience points to go to Padre games.
Yeah, with your family, right?
With my family. Mm-hmm. They give me 4 tickets to 4 games.
Yeah.
So 16 tickets. And they're excellent seats.
Yeah, they're right behind the plate, right?
They're right behind
yeah.
the plate. I mean, they're, the best seats you can get without actually
knowing somebody who's
knowing somebody. And I got 4 of them last year, and this year I got 4 of them again.
Yeah.
It wasn't any different. I thought, I thought I was going to get a lot more, and I thought I'm going to go to every Sunday Padre game, right?
Yeah, not quite as good. I don't blame John for not pushing it to try to get there this year.
No, there's no reason to. It was the same. And what's weird is when I asked the host about it, she said the only Padre games I could attend were when they were playing the Astros.
Wow. There are not that many games, eh?
No, you have to use them all in that. So I've got 16 tickets to that Astro game.
All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. First time caller, been listening for a few months, calling from the other side of the country in Brooklyn. Just wanted to tell you guys about a funny story I had about 6 months ago at one of the casinos. I was playing craps, and the guy next to me was on a pretty good roll, about 3 or 4 points, bunch of numbers, making good money. He's on his 5th point, throws it, hit the stack of chips on the other side of the table, dice bounce off the wall, land on top of one of the chips, which forms a little bit of a ramp between the top stack of the chip and the actual table. Dice slides down that ramp, flips over for a 7-out. And the dealer said, I haven't seen that in about 6 years. And it was actually kind of funny. But anyway, not a good way to end the roll. Love your show. Keep it going. Thank you.
Yeah, you play enough craps, you're going to see some weird rolls.
stuff.
Yeah, even this last time we went, you remember the dice went off the table. I think Jesse was the stick.
Right.
The dice went off the table and hit me in kind of a weird way.
Right.
And as
you didn't move, so it wasn't like you forced
that's
him
the
back
thing.
on the
I was
table.
I didn't move at all.
Right.
Right. And as at least one of the dice was hitting me, Jesse said no roll.
Jesse said no roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, before it had even got back to the table.
And it made its way back to the table somehow.
Right.
I don't know. It hit
Right.
the rail or whatever. And it would have been a 7 out. And luckily we had a good boxman working. He said, well, you called no roll.
Yeah,
So-
he said, but you said no roll before they'd even stopped. I mean, they were technically at that point off the table.
Yeah.
When he called no roll, so it was
and
no roll.
that might have been a free roll for us because if it had been the point, they might have called it. See, that's good customer service.
Right.
You don't make a big issue out of, well, you called no roll. That's good customer service.
That's very good customer service.
Yep.
Turns out, I think we got 2 more rolls.
Yeah, it
after
wasn't
that.
much, but
it was
still.
like a tar tin though came up, which I had parlayed.
That's right,
and,
right before
and
the
we
7
both
out.
had a fair amount of money on the tin.
Yeah.
So we got an extra $400 or $500 out of that.
Definitely. All right, next up is Anne.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Anne from Oregon, calling with a trip report. My husband and I were in Vegas over Christmas. We took my parents this year. They had never really been and done Vegas before, so we thought that would be great. My husband and I each had 2 nights comped at MGM Grand, so we were able to treat my parents to one of those reservations, and we took the other one. And we were actually able to get our room upgraded to one of the suites that's got the seating area, so it was just really fantastic for a week in Vegas. My crap story is we are low rollers. We like staying at MGM Grand because we like playing at Excalibur, which we can almost always guarantee finding a $5 table. And Christmas Eve, we were over at Excalibur, and the craps table was $10, but they had a crapsless table open for $5. So we decided we'd go and we would just play by placing the 6 and the 8. Things were going fine, nothing too exciting until I got the dice. And before long, we realized that I almost had the all small and kept throwing 2s and 12s. And there was this guy at the other end of the table who was definitely betting a lot bigger than we were and making some pretty good money off of us. At one point, I think he maybe had bought the 2 and the 12 maybe, and one, it was like $400. I think he tipped me a little bit on that one. And then very few rolls later, I hit the tall. So managed to get the all tall small. I think he had $5 on each. Unfortunately, neither my husband or I were on it at that time. It was pretty fun. My dad was there with us, and he had never really watched a craps game before, so that was a pretty exciting thing for him to get to witness. The next morning, Christmas Day, we hopped back over to Excalibur to see what we could find. And sure enough, the regular craps table was open at $5 minimum, so we got in there and played. And the dice came around to me, and this was the first time I'd had the dice since rolling the all tall small the night before. My husband decided to place $1 bets on it. And lo and behold, I hit it again. So I had the dice twice, hit the all tall small twice. My husband ended up with a good win of $210. My dad was there to witness that, and it was pretty exciting. So we colored up and moved on with our holiday. Thanks again for your podcast, and we'll check in again next time.
I love hearing those, I guess, weird crapless crap stories. She's saying, oh, he bought the 2 and 12, right? Because you can buy the 2, 3, 11, and 12 because those can be points. Yeah, 2 and 12, you pay the VIG 5% and then pay 6 to 1. So they're nice. I bet you'd love that.
I would. I do love that. I do love that if they're hitting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Anyway, thanks for the trip report, Ann. All right, next up is Neil.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Neil from Riverside. Yeah, you guys sparked a funny thing that I had noticed that I heard you guys draw attention to when you guys were up at the San Manuel Casino a little north of you. I did have a friend that worked at one of the bars there that I would frequent and just hang out and play video poker. And so, you know, the habit of scrolling through different games on the video poker machine and knowing that generally the bar top video poker is a lesser payout. I was doing this and I got to dollar denomination 9-6 jacks or better. And I was like, oh, awesome. So I'm not a dollar player, I'm a quarter player, but, you know, I would play $1 single coin in 9-6 jacks or better rather than, you know, 7-5 jacks or better at $1.25, right? And so I'm playing this, I'm playing a couple hands, and then I got dealt 4 to the royal, and I wasn't as lucky as you guys to hit the royal for Mark's dad, but what I noticed was the max payout with 5 coin in, instead of paying the typical 4,000 coins, the max payout was actually 2,500 coins. And I said, well, what a ripoff. You know, I saw 9-6, so the casinos are thinking, right? They're engineering these things, but they're getting it in the long run by, instead of going the true denomination.
Yeah, he got cut off there. All right, so a lot to break down here from his call. So first of all, he's saying, okay, he was kind of excited to see 9-6 jacks or better, but he said he was only going to play 1 coin in, which does increase the house edge a little bit. But let's talk about some numbers. So he was saying, okay, as opposed to playing $1.25 a hand on a quarter game of 7-5 jacks or better, the return on that is 96.1%. Actually pretty poor when it comes to a video poker pay table. Now, if you're playing full pay 9-6 jacks or better, 5 coin in, the return is around 99.5%, which is definitely one of the better games. Now, in this 9-6 jacks or better that he saw, if all the pay table is exactly the same except for that 5 coin royal payout, which he said was 2,500 instead of 4,000, that return is going to be 98.9%. Now, if he's just putting 1 coin in and the pay table is like a typical 9-6 jacks or better machine, that is the royal pays 250 for one, just 1 coin in, the return is 98.4%. So not really that much difference. And again, if he's putting just 1 coin in, it doesn't matter that the payout is 2,500 on the 5 coin in. It doesn't matter if it's 8,000, right? He's just putting 1 coin in.
Right.
But it's going to be 98.4% for 1 coin in, which is, it's not that bad. But I am kind of surprised. I'm wondering, I'd kind of like to see the whole pay table to see if maybe something else is going on. Because it just seems really strange. It would be 2,500. I'm not sure what's significant about that because it doesn't put you under the W2G range, right? Because that's 1,200. So
you have to be careful with some of those slot machines. Like we always look at the whole pay table when we go because sometimes you'll think, oh, this is, you know, like say
especially bonus poker,
especially bonus poker because they have ones like 7-5. But then you look and you know 2 pair pays even money,
right, or something like that. Or sometimes we've seen it lists as bonus poker, but it's just a standard jacks or better,
right? It says bonus poker, and then you look, it's just jacks or better.
Yeah, so you do need to watch out for that.
Yeah, they have a lot of little caveats to some of the games that take them away from what they're advertised as.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's false advertising. I don't know if that's, just saying, oh, this is our bonus poker at 25 cents, right?
Yeah. Well, anyway, Neil, if you go back to San Manuel, take a picture of the pay table, send it to us.
Yeah, we'd be curious to see that.
All right.
Maybe I'll have my brother do that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe
well,
I'll
if
have
he
my-
can find it. It was a bar top, but yeah. All right, next up is Jess.
Hi, this is Jess from San Francisco, just calling with a couple trip reports. I've done quite a few trips since I've called, but two kind of interesting ones. One is that I taught a friend how to play down in Albuquerque at Sandia, and it went pretty good. We had one session together, and she was able to nearly double the $100 I gave her. And so that was great and also dangerous, as we all know. We played, and the table was super busy, and there was another guy there teaching someone how to play, and he had her playing on the hop bets, and they were working out all right for him, but I just thought, what an awful way to teach someone to play. Sorry, Dr. Mike. There was another guy on the table, and we just kind of referred to him as the mad guy, because he was just very irritated with how slow it was going with all the prop bets and stuff. Well, the next morning I played again by myself, and it was just me and Mad Guy on the table. And I had one of those killer rolls. He was much higher roller than myself, and he was starting off covering all across the top, I think 25 outside and 30 on the 6 and 8. And he just would press every time. And he also gave one of the numbers the pick to the dealers, so they picked the 9. Well, on this roll, I had the 8, 9, and 10 up to the table maximum. Well, he did. And he was very happy. I think I made him, a few thousand, $4,000 maybe. And then my subsequent roll, he covered the top for me at his normal betting rate, which was awesome. Didn't work out very well for me, but it was a nice tip. It was one of the better tips I've ever gotten. The second trip, I went to Reno and again was helping a friend learn how to play. And again, this girl doubled her money. A different girl, but still, it doubled her money. If I had been smart and walked away, I would have been up quite a bit as well. But, gotta play, gotta keep rolling. So I ended up just a little bit down for the trip, but still had a great time. Played for probably 8 hours on $200. So that's a big win in my book. So great trips. Grand Sierra Resort in Reno, I just love. And thanks for what you guys do. I look forward to the next episode. Thanks. Bye.
It must be nice to teach the game of craps to somebody for the first time and have them win.
Yeah, double their money.
I don't think that's ever happened for us. I don't think we've ever experienced. It seems like every time we teach the game.
It's funny too. And when we teach, just for the record, I teach everyone how to play like as if they were you.
Yeah, very conservatively. Very
either
come bets or just place the 6
typically they're not
yeah.
starting with a lot of money, and I want them to be there a while. I don't want them, I'll hop the 9, put it all on 9. No, we teach them very conservatively, and then once somebody knows the game, then they can make decisions whether they want to waste their money on op bets or not. Yeah. But yeah, it seems like whenever we teach somebody, it never goes that well right off.
And maybe that's good for the player.
Maybe that's karma. Maybe that's karma coming back to us.
Yeah. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Austin from Orlando. I've been listening to your podcast for the last few months, trying to catch up on all the episodes, so thank you for everything you've been doing there. You've made my commute much more bearable for the past few months. So I have a trip booked to Vegas in the end of February, and I was wondering what your podcast has really made me want to try out for the first time. Not craps, actually, but Pai Gow poker. So I'm wondering if you guys had any advice on, A, any tips for a first-time Pai Gow poker player going to a casino and playing, so anywhere to practice or anything to know. And then B, any casinos you might know in Vegas that might have better side bets or lower limits or something for a low roller to get started with Pai Gow poker. So thanks for all you do. I hope to let you know how I do in Vegas later. Thanks.
Yeah, you could go back and listen to episode 9 of our show. That's where we first talk about Pai Gow poker. It's one of the last shows that I think we recorded in the bathroom, so the audio is not all that good. Also, I talk with Cousin Vito about Pai Gow poker on his show, episode 73, so you can go back to listen to that. Or really the best advice, go to the Wizard of Odds Pai Gow poker page, and you'll get some great information there, and I'll put a link in the show notes. As far as where to play...
I'll tell you what, another good thing, I think.
Uh-huh.
Play at home.
Just practice dealing out some hands.
Yeah,
and
play with you and your friend, your wife, whoever. Just deal out hands and play against each other and see how the game flows.
Yeah.
See, when you think it's wise to play 2 pair behind and a pair on top, and and then look up the answer and see, were you right? Was that the right way?
That
to
is
play?
good advice, because there are some automated games for free that you can play online. But when you really have the cards in your hand, and you're having to separate the 2 cards out,
it's so easy a game to play at home. I mean, we play on the plane all the time when we're flying places. I mean, you can play Pai Gow pretty much anywhere. You don't even have to bet. Just keep track.
Yeah, right.
I'm up 1 game to whatever.
That's right. And play against Dr. Mike if you can, and you're on a plane, because you're almost guaranteed to win.
You've got a big win coming your way.
Significantly, As far as where to play, we definitely recommend downtown. It's hard to find low-limit Pai Gow poker on the Strip anymore.
Right.
But if you look around, you might even find a $5 game downtown.
Maybe.
But expect it to be, 10 or more. But every once in a while,
But, and you have to realize, too, Pai Gow, there's a lot of pushes. So, if you're playing at a $10 table, it's not as bad as you think.
No, exactly. A lot of pushes, get your free drinks. You can stay there a while.
You can stay a while. You could play a quarter table and with $200 stay for quite a while.
Yeah, a quarter Pai Gow poker table is not like a quarter blackjack table. We've said many times.
No, quarter blackjack table, you can be gone in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have 8 bad hands in a row and be done.
Yep.
Pai Gow, highly unlikely. You'll be there a while.
Yep. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. My name is Toby, calling from Salinas, California. Me and my wife are going to be going to New Orleans for a couple of days into February, and we're going to be staying at Harrah's New Orleans for 1 night. We haven't been able to go on any kind of trip unless it's a gambling trip in the last 5 years, so this should be exciting. I wanted to make a karma donation before we go, but looking at your website, I didn't see a link or anything. So if you could let me know how to do that, that would be awesome. Also, if you guys have been to Harrah's New Orleans, do you have any suggestions? And for someone who's played a little bit of craps, I usually play pass line, play a 6 and 8, but don't get, too fancy. If you have any hints for somebody who is not necessarily new to craps, but just wants to spread his wings a little bit at the game, please let me know. All right. Thanks, guys. Love your show. Bye.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, hey, keep betting the way you normally do, right? Because that's just the way that I do.
That's the way I'd bet, too.
Do you have anything to say? If you want?
I have something to say.
Right.
I went to Washington Junior High School in Salinas.
Oh, okay.
for 2 years.
Really?
Yep, 7th and 8th grade. And I went to 9th grade at Salinas High School.
Yeah, okay.
And I went to 5th and 6th grade at Lincoln Elementary School.
In Salinas.
In Salinas.
All right.
So I am very familiar with Salinas.
All right, nice.
In that area. That was the years, was 5 years that we lived away from San Diego.
All right. Any craps advice?
And yeah, stay away from the No, I'd keep playing the way he's playing now.
Yeah.
That sounds like the smart way to play, because if you have a limited bankroll, that's going to make your bankroll last the longest.
Yeah.
And my only addition to Mark's would be when you start to feel like you're on a hot roll.
Mm-hmm.
I've made all my money back this roll and I've doubled it this roll. Press a little.
Yeah, press a little.
Take a chance and press it up. And, maybe 7's outright when you press, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he goes another 10 minutes and you make a big killing. Don't be afraid to hop on the train when it's there.
Yeah, good. Now, I've never been to Harrah's New Orleans. I think you were there many years ago,
I was
right?
in New Orleans. They were building it.
Okay.
It wasn't open. They were still building it.
So you've never actually been? I've
been to New Orleans.
I thought you had.
No, I've been to New Orleans once, and they were building Harrah's when I was
We
there.
are going to try to hit Harrah's New Orleans when we go for the Biloxi trip in April. So, we haven't.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it. And they say it's a nice property. My brother liked it.
Yeah. And thanks, Toby, for asking about a karma donation. Now, if you go to our webpage, not on your mobile device, you won't see this. You have to do it from a computer, browser on your computer. There is a link on the right-hand side of the page that says support the show, and there's a little donate button below it. If you're not seeing it at all, and maybe your browser, I don't know if it's ad blocking or something, maybe it wouldn't show up, but I believe you can go straight to PayPal. And if you go to the top of the screen, click on money, and then on the next screen towards the right-hand side, it'll say send or request money. Click on that. On that next screen, you can actually put our email address. You can bet on that at gmail.com in there and go from there. And again, thank you very much, Toby.
I press request money all the time. And
Do you?
You
And
never send me anything.
Never happens? Yeah.
No, you
I know. I
never-
get those constantly.
You never send me anything.
Who's that, Mark? It's Dr. Mike again, asking for money.
I'm just hoping you'll mess up one time.
All right. Hey, next up is Ian.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Ian Dunk from Leicester in England. Just thought I'd update you following a 2-week trip to Macau, which was fascinating. Craps is out there, the odd table, the odd bubble craps, but I don't think Dr. Mike would like it because it's definitely not in vogue out there. It's not popular. Very few people playing. But they do love gambling, no question. And it was just fascinating to watch the baccarat. I mean, they're 5 or 6 deep at the table. And if you think of the Aria Casino, for example, we were at the Galaxy for a while, you could multiply the Aria Casino probably by about 4, and you've got the size of the casino at Galaxy. It's just fascinating. And all the tables are packed with people. But interestingly, watching them, the players actually fold the corners of the cards when they're playing baccarat, to the extent those cards could never be used again. And everybody was doing it. We watched it over the course of 2 weeks, and they look at the cards and crease the corners so badly, and they get very angry and throw the cards around. Interestingly as well, that in craps, of course, mainly people are betting, on the point and everyone cheers together. Where, of course, at baccarat, you've got people betting on the dealer and also people betting on the player. So you have mixed cheers when the hands are dealt. So that was interesting to see. Also very strict out there. My wife wears prescription sunglasses. She can't really see very well without them. And on more than one occasion, she was asked to remove the glasses in the casino until we proved that, they weren't just sunglasses, they were proper glasses. I also had to delete some photographs occasionally that I took, either just outside or inside the casino, so very strict compared to the rules out in the West. But nevertheless, a great place to visit. We filled 2 weeks easily, and it's like being in Vegas, then you turn a corner, you're in Hong Kong, and then you turn a corner and you're in Portugal. I mean, literally, you could be in a street in Porto or Lisbon, such is the architecture out there. So it's a place of great mixed feelings and great fun. Not the Vegas vibe, but definitely worth a visit if anybody wants to visit the Far East. All the best, guys. Speak to you again in the summer because Vegas is on its way.
Oh, good. Great.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks for the report, Ian.
Try and get there when Ian's.
Yeah, it'd be nice to meet up with him. Yeah, those baccarat games, they call them baccarat squeeze games. It's part of the ritual of exposing the card, looking at the cards, you know, and maybe they do little corners and things. And yeah, they bend cards. I mean, they can go so far as to rip a card a little bit. These cards are not used again. It's all part of the ritual. And you'll see it at some high limit games in the States as well. In fact, I was out at Viejas with Elle, my sister-in-law, and she was asking about baccarat because she had the potential to enter this baccarat tournament, and she wasn't familiar with the game. So we stood behind a table, and I was kind of showing her some of it. And sure enough, she was, hey, they're bending the cards, right? They're actually, and yeah, that's just part of the ritual, part of the fun of playing baccarat.
Well, I'm surprised that Ian was surprised that they asked his wife to take. I mean, if your name's Ian Bond, I mean, as soon as they see that, they're thinking, "Oh, yeah, those are those glasses that
that M made for him, right?
Yeah, that M made for him that can see through the whole." He's got an English accent, and his name's Ian Bond. So.
All right, one last call from our buddy Taylor.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Taylor from New Mexico. Took a quick trip to Vegas. I was at Palms last night, and I walked up to a craps table. It's a $5 table, and I looked at the guy next to me. He's playing with all black chips and purple chips, so $100, and he's putting 2 black chips and 5 times odds at the point, so 2 purple chips and odds. But I took a step back. I don't like playing with people who play really heavy that I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out whether I should play or not. And I look up, it's Phil Ivey. So I get an email, and I check my email on my phone. It says my flight's changed. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on because I'm supposed to fly out within 12 hours. And I look up, and Phil Ivey is giving me a dirty look. And I immediately realized it probably looked to him that I was trying to take a photo of him, which I wasn't. Anyway, so that's my story. Phil Ivey giving me a dirty look. Put that on the list of famous people who gave me dirty looks. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yeah, nice.
When Phil Ivey runs over your foot in a wheelchair, call us back.
Phil Ivey, one of the most famous poker players in the world. Many people feel he's the best living player right now. He's definitely excellent, but he's also well known for loving dice.
Doyle Brunson's still alive.
He is, but I think, seriously, playing right now, if you asked...
Actively playing now?
Yeah.
Because best of all time, maybe Doyle Brunson.
Well, it might be Stu Unger, who died young, but
he's not alive.
Yeah,
you said alive right now.
I know, but you said of all time.
Okay.
What, all right?
I mean, of all time alive right now.
Of all time alive right now. It's like a contradiction. Are you on something? You're taking something for this pain, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, all right. But anyway, he's known for loving to play craps as well. Right, so that's kind of fun.
I'd like to play some craps with him.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Just to see him.
It would be kind of fun. We'll see. I don't know. I've also heard mixed things about how he is socially, so I don't know. I know he doesn't give a lot of interviews.
No.
So I don't know if he went up to the table.
He probably thought, he saw the phone, he probably thought,
I'm sure that's what he thought.
Taking my picture, annoying me while I'm trying to play craps.
That's right.
You should have just said, oh no, I'm not. I'm just looking up the payouts for the don't. I'm going to be betting on the don't the whole time, especially when you're rolling, Phil.
That's right. $5 on the don't. Send them.
What can you do?
Nothing.
It's nothing. It's a free game.
Yeah, that's right. Anybody can play.
You're never getting invited to his house anyway.
Exactly.
And you probably had no intentions of inviting him.
That's right. Burn that bridge immediately.
Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, recurring donations from Kurt, from Nathan, and from Brian Dancer. Thanks very much for those recurring donations. Also, a donation from Tony W. in West Sacramento. Thank you, Mark and Dr. Mike. I've been listening since January 2015, and I appreciate the enthusiasm and fun you two have on your podcast. Heading to Las Vegas January 2nd through the 6th. Oh, so he already went, so hopefully he had some good luck. Hoping this donation will bring good karma, many great craps rolls, my first royal flush, and or my first hand pay. So hopefully at least one of those things happen.
I hope it's a hand pay.
Yeah, that'd
it's
be
always
nice.
fun.
Yeah. Also, a donation from Eamon. He said, karma donation for this weekend's trip to Harrah's SoCal. Hope to see you guys there. And unfortunately, Eamon, that was a weekend when we weren't able to go. So we missed you. Sorry about that. It would have been nice to play some dice with you.
Yeah, but he comes down, I think, somewhat regularly.
Hopefully,
right?
there'll be another opportunity to see him, yeah. Also, a donation from Josh. Karma donation for my upcoming Vegas trip. Love the show. Good luck, Josh. Also, a donation from Adrian from Calgary, Alberta. Thanks very much. Also, a donation from Jeff from Round Rock, Texas. Karma donation for an end-of-the-month 3-night Vegas trip with a couple of buddies. We all got comped nights at Cromwell, where we love to play. Keep up the great work. Great. Thanks for that, Jeff.
I want to know what the rooms are like in Cromwell.
Yeah, I know. I think they're kind of selling it like a boutique hotel now.
Yeah.
It used to be Bill's Gambling Hall,
right.
and, before that,
it was
Barbary Coast.
Barbary Coast.
And I've always wondered, too, about, is it kind of loud in the rooms? Because the nightclub, right
down
there.
Below
So,
it,
yeah,
right.
I don't know. We'll have to do it sometime.
Yeah,
definitely.
we'll have to stay there.
Also, a donation from John. Thanks very much. And a donation from Rob. Mark and Dr. Mike, I really enjoy your podcast and look forward to each episode. Here's a karma donation for my trip to Vegas in a couple of weeks. And I also have a question about a bar for a large group. I am attending a gaming convention at Bally's and need to find a place for a meetup Saturday night for about 30 people. We want a place that won't be super loud so we can catch up with old friends, has a good bar/drinks, probably something close to Bally's, but just looking for potential spots right now. Having gambling close doesn't hurt, but it isn't a priority as many of the folks aren't into it. Thanks, and looking forward to the next episode. The only thing I can think of, we don't spend a lot of time in the bars or the lounges, at Bally's, right there to the entrance where you would go to Paris,
right,
that hallway
right.
there, there's a lounge called the Indigo Lounge. And, a few years back, the 360 Vegas Vacation people went there. I think that would be a pretty good place. It's a fairly large area, and it is, kind of right there on the casino.
Right.
So that's the only thing I can think of.
Close to Bally's.
And it's all right, actually in Bally's. So, yeah. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a program I wrote myself. that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonnat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonnat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonnat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonnat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. All right, Dr. Mike, how you doing?
I'm barely alive. I'm still laughing in my head about Taylor and Phil Ivey. I'd have had so much fun. You should have just started incessantly talking to him, just nonstop.
Hey Phil,
how's it going?
You make a lot of hot bets?
Yeah,
I like hopping the 9. Do you like that? Two-way 9.
I know for a celebrity like him, it's probably annoying because wherever he goes, people are probably talking to him and wanting to talk poker with him. Let me tell you about this bad beat I had the other day.
Oh God, yeah, I love that. Pay attention to me, Phil. Here, no, don't send the dice yet. I have something to say to Phil.
It's a little complicated. It's going to take a while. Let me set the stage. It'd be so funny. I don't know. He just seems. I don't know him. Phil Ivey's probably a nice guy.
I don't know. Yeah,
with his friends and people.
Sure, with his friends.
But he seems like the guy that would get a little annoyed, when people talk to him too much. Yeah. If you're listening, Phil, which I'm sure he's not, but if you ever do happen to listen, we think you're great anyway, and we'd love to play crafts with you.
Yeah, that would be fun. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.